They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the
It looks like Tank is tired of people making fun of him for taking a knee during the fight with Roach, and now he's hit back at everyone. But the criticism hasn't stopped since the fight ended, and Devon Davis is really feeling the pressure.
Gervonta Tank Davis, GTD, and I don't mean got the draws, went up against Lamont Roach. Let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been called a knockdown.
And now it's not just about him. A new video has surfaced showing referee Willis being interviewed, and things are getting even more intense. Here's a quick update. The same
Gervonta Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point? And in the end, lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, if it was a draw, he take a knee. And plus the corner go
fans who used to cheer for him, and the same analysts who once called him the most dangerous puncher in boxing, are now using one moment to criticize Tank. The internet has
gonna get a little tense leading up to the fight.
I'm gonna let y'all know, son. His foul was up here shaking. I'm gonna beat his ass.
You can't do shit. Wait,
for real. So y'all better be quiet.
I don't give a fuck if y'all. This me and you, fool.
Just a few hours ago, Tank had enough and spoke out, making it clear he's fed up with how boxing works. Like I said, boxing is trash. Look at everyone bashing me. They're the same ones who bet on me, he said in frustration. In boxing, you lose once or have a bad night, and suddenly everyone forgets everything else and only focuses on that one terrible night.
On this thing where, you have to be undefeated for people to care about you, and that's
He's not wrong. Ever since the fight, no one's been talking about his career, his power, or his dominance. Instead, all the focus has been on that one moment, when he dropped to a knee, when Steve Willis hesitated, and when Lamont Roach Jr. was arguably denied a legitimate knockdown. Suddenly, the narrative around Tank has completely shifted. The same people who once called him unstoppable are now saying he's vulnerable. Fighters who used to avoid even mentioning his name are now taking shots, acting like this is their chance to challenge him. And perhaps the biggest insult of all, people are actually saying Shakur Stevenson could walk right through.
To what may happen against Shakur Stevenson, I hear more about Shakur Stevenson after this fight than I hear about Lamont Roach, which I think is sad.
He's not wrong. Ever since the fight, no one's been talking about his career, his power, or his dominance. Instead, all the focus has been on that one moment, when he dropped to a knee, when Steve Willis hesitated, and when Lamont Roach Jr. was arguably denied a legitimate knockdown. Suddenly, the narrative around Tank has completely shifted. The same people who once called him unstoppable are now saying he's vulnerable. Fighters who used to avoid even mentioning his name are now taking shots, acting like this is their chance to challenge him. And perhaps the biggest insult of all, people are actually saying Shakur Stevenson could walk right through him now. Say Jack Rice, a respected former referee, along with trainer Stephen Breadman Edwards and former champions Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi, all agreed that Roach's knockdown should have been counted. The way Steve Willis handled the situation raised a lot of questions. First, there was the hesitation, then the fact that Tank turned his back and walked to his corner in the middle of the round. On top of that, his trainer, Calvin Ford, was allowed to step in and wipe his face with a towel. How does that happen? Malignaggi asked during the panel. How does a fighter just walk to his corner, get his face wiped, and the ref does nothing? That's insane. Now, ProBox TV founder Gary Jonas, who also advises Roach, is pushing for the New York State Athletic Commission to overturn the fight's result. He's officially filed an appeal arguing that Roach should be declared the winner. His reasoning is that the knockdown was clear, Tank turned his back in the middle of the fight, and Calvin Ford illegally stepped onto the ring apron. Anyway.
To me, I think I won the fight. Now, granted, 9th round should have been called a knockdown. Two judges on the official scorecards gave him the round 10-9. If that was a knockdown, I win the round 10-8. That's a 3 point.
Should have been enough for Willis to deduct a point. People make mistakes, but it always seems to favor the A side. said Bredman Edwards, a point that many fans strongly agree with. When Tank was the undefeated superstar, everything went his way. But now that there's a moment of weakness, everyone's bringing up how boxing protects its biggest names. Malignaggi didn't hold back either, saying bluntly, "You cannot call your own timeout. That's not how this works." Interview. While the commission is busy reviewing the fight, Tank has his eyes on something else. Revenge. He sees exactly what's going on and knows that if he had knocked out Roach early, none of this would even be a topic. He understands that the same analysts who are criticizing him now would be praising his power if the outcome had been different.
You lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost that.
Even Devin Haney, who's had his own back and forth with Tank, made sure to remind everyone that real champions don't take knees. Tank isn't just hearing all of this, he's taking notes. For him, it's personal now. This isn't just about whether that knee should have been ruled a knockdown. It's about proving that one rough night doesn't erase everything he's accomplished. He's always been known as the most dangerous puncher in the division, and now he's determined to remind the world exactly why. "I'll put all of them down," he repeated, interview. There's already
So when your foot's out, you know, one foot out, you're going to get in the ring and you're going to have that moment where you know you got to step it up and it just won't come. And I think that's what happened.
What do you think about him taking the knee at that point?
I think that
should it have been ruled a knockdown?
The truth is, this controversy isn't going away. Even if the New York Commission doesn't overturn the fight, this will remain a stain on Tank's legacy, at least for now. Fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, and even Muhammad Ali all faced moments of doubt, but what set them apart was how they responded. Tank is making it clear that this isn't the downfall people think it is. If anything, this is just the beginning of his next chapter, and if history has shown us anything, it's that a fired-up Devon Davis is the most dangerous version of him.
And I thought he won the fight personally, yeah, the no knockdown, that was like unheard of. It was the first time I've ever seen it with my own two eyes. And
even though Tank hates it, the criticism continues to come his way from some of the biggest voices in boxing. Every day, the debate over his controversial moment gets louder, with more fighters, analysts, and even officials chiming in. The controversy isn't dying down, it's only getting worse. Now a new twist has added even more fuel to the fire. A video has surfaced of referee Steve Willis being confronted about his handling of the situation. The clip quickly went viral and showed a fan catching Willis off guard, demanding answers about why he didn't score a knockdown when Tank dropped to one knee. The fan didn't hold back, calling Tank's move some B word, while Willis, clearly uncomfortable, refused to comment. "I can't speak on that," Willis said. The fan pushed again, asking, "Can't speak on that? He did some B, though?" Once again, Willis shut it down, repeating, "I can't
I'm not
speak
sure,
on it.
bro.
I can't." Interview. That
I'm definitely not
response
sure,
only made
but
things worse.
hopefully we can
Many
get
fans
it
see it as
before,
an admission that Willis knows he made a mistake, but refuses
it
to
probably won't
acknowledge
be
it
this year.
Is that the one you want next?
The referee who made the call is avoiding the conversation, is giving Roach's team even more reason to push for the result, to be overturned. The fight itself ended in a majority draw. One judge had it 115-113 for Davis, while the other two scored it 114-114. But with all the pressure mounting, there's now a real possibility that the outcome could be changed. The WBA's president, Gilberto Mendoza Jr., has already made his stance clear. Let me repeat, taking a knee without a punch shall be ruled a knockdown. It affected the result of the fight. Interview. It wasn't just Mendoza Jr. who thought Roach deserved the win. Fighters like Terence Crawford and Ryan Garcia immediately spoke out, saying the wrong man had his hand raised. But the biggest bombshell came when Canelo Alvarez jumped into the conversation, and his words were even harsher. Speaking on A. Brock. En La Mañana, the undisputed...
Who's thinking what Tank did that when he took the knee? What you thinking when he took the knee?
I can't speak on that.
Can't think on that?
Can't speak on
He did some bull though?
that. I can't speak on that.
No personal opinion, nothing?
Can't, especially you.
That response... For a fighter of Canelo's caliber to come out and say that Tank should have been disqualified is huge. It's no longer just about scoring, it's about whether Tank should have even been allowed to continue the fight. If the referee had enforced the rules strictly, Roach might have walked away with a stoppage win. Tank's excuse for taking a knee has only fueled the controversy. His own hairstylist, who styled his hair before the fight, posted on Instagram claiming the products used wouldn't have caused such an issue. The post was quickly deleted, but screenshots are now circulating online. The backlash doesn't stop. There. The New York State Athletic Commission has now confirmed that they attempted to use instant replay to review the 9th round, but couldn't due to a technical issue. According to their statement, during the round in question, the commission requested the replay video, but a technical issue prevented them from receiving it within the time allowed for review. As a result, the referee's in-ring decision stood, and the fight continued. This explanation isn't sitting well with many people. If an instant replay system exists but it failed when it mattered most, what's the point? This isn't the first. Timely NYSAC has been questioned over its handling of a controversial fight, and this latest incident is only adding to the distrust fans already have toward the system. Roach's team isn't letting this go. They've officially sent a letter to the NYSAC demanding that the fight result be overturned.
Did Gervonta Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point? And in the end, lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, if it was a draw, he take a knee. And plus, the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's disqualification, for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but it's not my business.
Even Tank's own fans are struggling to defend him. Some argue that the fight was close enough that Roach winning the 9th round 10-8 wouldn't have guaranteed him a victory, while others claim that even if it had been ruled a knockdown, Tank would have found a way to win in the later rounds. However, those arguments are getting drowned out by the overwhelming criticism that just won't stop. Tank will not fight Isaac Cruz again, and to make matters worse, former referee Jack Rice, one of the most respected officials in boxing, has publicly stated that the wrong call was made. Speaking on Pro Box TV, Rice was blunt. It should have been a knockdown, no question about it. The fighter voluntarily went down, and under the rules, that's a knockdown. Rice also pointed out that once Tank took a knee, the fight should have paused. Instead, chaos ensued with Tank, walking to his corner and getting wiped down, while the referee allowed the fight to continue as if nothing happened. This was a mess, Rice said. It wasn't handled correctly at all. Interview. For the first time in his career, Tank isn't in full control of his own narrative. Fans, analysts, and even his fellow fighters are now steering the conversation. If the commission does decide to overturn the result, it could become one of the biggest scandals in modern boxing history. Devin Haney has also joined the growing list of fighters who believe Lamont Roach Jr. deserved to have his hand raised.
He wasn't hurt, there's no doubt about that, but if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, oh, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me. Like, there was a lot
in disbelief. He echoed the sentiment of fans, analysts, and fighters alike. Davis voluntarily took a knee, and it should have been called a knockdown. That was unheard of, Haney said, making it clear that he'd never seen a ruling like that in all his years in boxing. That moment in the 9th round has become the center of the dispute. Davis, clearly struggling, dropped to one knee after Roach's jab landed near his eye. Referee Steve Willis, standing just feet away, initially appeared to start a count before hesitating and waving for the action to continue.
Never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin Haney. He will not fight Shakur. He will not fight Pitbull Cruz again.
Roach's camp wasted no time filing an official protest. His attorney, Greg Smith, sent a formal challenge to NYAC Executive Director Matt DeLalio, demanding that the result be overturned in Roach's favor. While boxing protests rarely lead to overturned results, the sheer weight of this controversy, coupled with NYAC's admission of a technical failure, has raised serious questions about the sport's regulatory process. The impact of the decision, or lack thereof, was clear. Had Willis ruled it a knockdown, Roach would have won a 10-8 round in his favor, flipping the final scores and making him the new WBA lightweight champion.
It's very unfortunate, but if there was some outside factor that did get into his eye, I don't know. You're walking on a gray line, and that's when things aren't necessarily black or white. So it's a tough call. And you don't
defended Willis's decision. The sanctioning body released an article on its website stating that the referee's call was not unreasonable or unjustifiable. The article argued that skeptics were wrong to suggest Davis benefited from Willis's decision and concluded that no knockdown should have been recorded. However, the statement only made matters worse as fans, fighters, and analysts erupted over what they saw as blatant favoritism. The backlash forced WBA President Gilberto Mendoza to act. He quickly had the article removed from the website and distanced the organization from its claims. Mendoza then took an unusual step. He personally apologized to Roach and his father via social media. As president of the WBA, I must apologize for the opinion of a collaborator on the website. We believed in you from day one. We knew you would have a marvelous performance, and we feel proud of you as champion, Mendoza wrote. His direct message to Roach's father carried the same tone, acknowledging the unfairness of the situation, while insisting that the WBA had always supported Roach's journey. But apologies weren't enough. The controversy had already reached a boiling point, and Mendoza knew the WBA had to take further action.
Stop closing up and let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The biggest move came when Mendoza publicly announced that he had asked the WBA committee to push for an immediate rematch. I have asked the WBA committee to follow up Lamont Roach Jr.'s direct rematch case closely, Mendoza stated. However, we believe the parties, as expressed in the post-fight interview, will amicably agree to run it again. Davis himself has claimed that he is open to a rematch, but given the circumstances, many doubt his sincerity. If a rematch were to happen, Roach's team would likely push for a different referee, considering how costly Willis's decision proved to be.
The New York State Athletic Commission makes a statement yesterday that they're going to be reviewing Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. 9th round, knockdown, not a knockdown, whatever.
Kearns, a spokesman, confirmed that the issue occurred during the round in question, when the commission requested a replay but was unable to receive the video in time. Therefore, the referee's in-ring decision was relied upon and the fight continued. With even the biggest names in the sport weighing in, the pressure on Nye's sack is mounting. Roach's team continues to push for justice while the WBA is now being forced to reconsider its stance after initially defending the referee's decision. As it stands, Davis retains his title, but the controversy surrounding this fight is far from over. Calls for a rematch are growing louder, and the scrutiny on Nye's handling of the situation isn't going away anytime soon. The commission's inquiry will likely take weeks, if not months, to conclude, but once new details come in, you'll be the first to receive them. So make sure to subscribe to stay updated.